Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV, and hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the Business Talk Show. I get to share this platform every week with my dear friend, partner, mentor, and an all-around fun guy. His name is Mr. al.cini, and he's going to be singing for us today on our show. Let's bring him out. Hello, Mr. Cini.
You've overpromised, and I'm going to be under-delivering. So I am singing in public, but thank you for the shout-out. I appreciate that. I'm not much of a singer, Dr. JACALYN, but I am now an elevated listener.
You are an elevated listener. I just want our folks to know watching, if they're not familiar, that Al claims he can't sing, and yet he comes from a famous family of singers. And we did find out during one of our courses that Al can definitely sing and has a beautiful voice.
Well, you know, that's probably going to be a state secret. I mean, that's right up there with how many tanks are moving into the Ukraine. We don't know, and we're not allowed to know. But I do want to say that I learned a lot as a student of your elevated listening program, and I know, Dr. JACALYN, that you're building an elevated listeners community. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you, Al. I'd be really happy to. As you know, I'm really focused on people having inner peace, because I believe when we have inner peace, we are one step closer to world peace, and we'll stop arguing with each other. We'll stop judging each other. So I already offer courses to train people and certify them as elevated listeners. And we've gotten such great response to it. It made sense to start our elevated listening community. And what this community is about is people who are interested in being with like-minded people who are focused on providing a safe space for people to listen. So there's an $11 a month membership. People can cancel at any time. And what that includes is every Sunday, I will be sharing a 30-minute video. The video starts off with a guided meditation, and then I will be recapping all of our shows from the week in terms of the key learning. So as much as I would love for everyone to watch all 22 of our shows each week, I don't know that it's possible or rational. So I'm going to be recapping the key learnings. And we have people talking about how to reverse chronic disease, how to age gracefully. I mean, the topics, how to bring education to Africa. So I'll be really summarizing these key points, and then I'll be providing tips on how to get fit, how to eat better, and also how to be a better listener. So that'll be every Sunday. And then once a month, we will join as a community on Zoom, and we will have a meet and greet networking session where all of the community can reach out to one another, share what it is they do, and then go off on their own and collaborate.
That's exciting, and a big opportunity for an awful lot of people out there who really could benefit by your program. I mean, I know it's done me a whole lot of good. And, you know, I've been a consultant for a long time, and listening is something that I felt like I knew how to do, but I really discovered that there were an awful lot of cues, a lot of bad habits that I developed over time that I'm now working on correcting, because your program has made me more mindful of them. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. For anybody who's interested in joining the elevated listening community, you can go to my personal website, which is drjacalyn.com/join.
Terrific.
All right. And Al, we're going to play a clip that you shared with us. And before we do that, I'm going to spotlight you. Would you share with our audience a little bit about your background and the work that you're doing at BCAT, and also as a TV show host yourself?
Well, the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit, BCAT, which is what I do for a living, is about connecting organizations with their purpose. So we've developed a process that allows everybody to have a voice in defining the purpose of the organization that they serve. And what we found is that in that process, whether you just started yesterday or you've been there for 30 years, whether you own the company or you answer the phones and mop the floors, your voice in the definition of the purpose of the organization is equally valuable, equally valid as anybody else's. And we like to give everybody a voice in defining that purpose. And when we have that purpose, the next step is to align everybody behaviorally, to encourage them and inspire them. Our tagline is align and inspire. The goal really is to represent that purpose as though it were a role model. We actually call that a role target. And then give everybody an experience that encourages them to create personal alignment plans and borrow habit traits, patterns from that role target that they believe will help them become better contributors to the organization's mission. So it's very much a crowdsourcing, bottom-up kind of a solution for creating a tightly knit team by aligning it with its purpose. That's the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit. And also beginning in March, I'll be co-hosting a program on RVN television called The Advocates, which every week will interview somebody who is on a mission, who is serving a purpose. It could be somebody who's working with individuals to improve their lives, or it could be somebody who's advocating a cause or a goal. And I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be, I think, a great experience.
Thank you, Al. Let's take a look at this clip, The Advocates.
Great.
Very nice. Well done. You can see that on rvntelevision.com. And Al, would you like to give a shout out to whomever helped you create that?
Definitely do. I mean, that the video work was mine, and it was fun to do because we have a really powerful shared vision for the program. But the music was done by Lisa Manioki's son Garrett, and he really did a great job for us. And he's making different versions of it, cut to different lengths for different applications. And it's been great working with him too. So it's just been fun.
Well, congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And Al, as you know, we have someone backstage who is a member of our team.
It's hard. Let me guess.
He's indescribable in many ways because
he certainly defies description and definition, but he's a great guy with a real gift for helping people with trade shows. So it'll be fun to find out more about that.
We absolutely love him here at USA Global TV. He's a dear friend. He is a business-to-business strategist. He is an author, and he's also an editor. He edited my first book, and he's editing my second book. I'm not sure if he's aware of that or not, but he is. So let's welcome him to the show today. It's Mr. Hiett Ives.
Hiett Ives.
So that's the funny stuff that Red Laughlin has been sending to me. I didn't know what that was.
Hiett is also going to be joining me in summer school because we both flunked elevated listening. I think I mentioned that 2 weeks ago. So, but it was, and he was our elevator. We've done a couple of scenarios together.
Yes, you have, which is amazing. So it's Hiett. It's good to see you. And I know we had you on the show earlier. First, we love welcoming people back. And we talked about trade shows. And you have some updates about what's been going on. And then we have some other subjects we're going to talk about as well. So let me spotlight you. And sorry, I almost knock over the set. If you can share for our audience some of these updates that you have in the trade show world.
Great.
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. Last Wednesday, I went to a BNI meeting I was subbing for a client. I met a British gentleman who said he was doing a trade show in Baltimore the end of March. I said, let's have lunch. We had lunch, and he said, yeah, I want to hire you. So as of right now, I'm leaving here on the 28th of March, and we'll be in Baltimore at the National Facilities Management and Technology Show for 3 days, and putting all of his collateral material and backdrop and everything that is going to make that a successful show for him. And so I am being able to practice what I preach, and thoroughly enjoying it.
Well, congratulations, Hiett. That's very exciting.
Definitely. And not just practice what you preach, but also practice what you wrote in your book.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe we can start by talking about the book and what you put in it.
You mean that one right there?
That's the one. Hiett Ives, 88 successful. I believe that back up again. We want to make sure we see
88 successful event strategies. And that's basically a summation of about 40 years of business-to-business trade show marketing on an international and national level. And it's divided into what you do before, during, and after a show. And before, the planning you have to do, the material you have to put together, the shipping that you have to do, the layout of the booth, and preparing for it, and then the at being the open-ended questions that you use, how you lay out the booth, how you make sure everything is ready to go, and then how you follow up. So it is a step-by-step walkthrough, and it's funny. When I did it, I had about 100 or so tips that I was working from, and just funneled it down and said, okay, I've got it. This is what I want to do. And it happened to be 88. Well, I didn't realize it at the time, but of course, in the Oriental world, the infinity, the 88 is good luck, and well, the 8 is good luck, but and 88 is double good luck. And pre-pandemic, I had a Chinese gentleman that was going to print that. I need to get back to him actually, but he was going to print this in Chinese and market this in China as the way to be doubly successful.
What a great idea. That is a great idea. And, I do want to make a point for the people watching and listening. You put a lot of money into your presence at a trade show, a whole lot of money into it. If you're like Hiett, you're not going to get out of it what you invested in it. And so this is a do not overlook these 88 precepts, and call Hiett before you go to a trade show, and he can help you. So good for you. I think that's great. I mean, I've done enough trade shows and been to enough trade shows to know that if you plan it out, you get a lot more out of it. And we've talked about the two booths, one booth where nobody goes to visit and the booth right next door where they're turning people away. Mm-hmm. The difference is in your book.
Yep. Absolutely.
Hiett, a question I have for you is, what in each of those three phases, if you could give one area that people consistently make mistakes, or they have assumptions that are incorrect that end up leading to wasted money, time, and talent?
Absolutely. The first one is what to exhibit. And too many of them say, well, we've got 10 products, we've got 20 products, we've got 25 products, so we have to have all 8, 10, 25 products in our booth. I refuse to let my clients show more than 3. Because the old 80-20 principle. In fact, I've got a particular president that had 10 items, and literally as the doors were opening, I only allowed him to show 3. And as the doors were opening, he'd say, "Hi, it's not going to work. We don't have enough." Within an hour of the show being open, he said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," because we featured the top 3, his 20% of his product line that brought in 80% of his income. Was he able to address the other 7 to people that asked about it? Sure, he could do that very easily. But he didn't have people coming up saying, I want to see number 7, which might have been a lost leader. At the show itself, how they present themselves physically. Are they sitting behind the table across the front of the booth? And here's a quick one. Do you know why 85% of the booths have a table across the front of it? The reason being is that is the last piece of equipment, rental equipment, that show management delivers to the booth. So they've got a cart coming down the aisle, putting table. And they put it where? Right at the front of the booth, just to get it off the aisle. But all the exhibitors come in and say, oh, that's where the table's supposed to be. Au contraire. That's you want to keep the front of the booth open. So being available to the delegate and having a open-ended question which requires them to qualify or disqualify themselves. And then on the back end, the 80-20 rule comes in again. At any given trade show, the leads you take, on average, only 20% of them are ever worked. And rather than working all 100% to get the right 80%, or to get the right 20%. Too many of them just take 20% and think that's it, and end up, so having a show-specific, audience-specific CRM program, which you develop before the show, implement during the show, and follow up on the back end of the show. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, excellent tips. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Al, I don't know about you, but I haven't been to a trade show in a while, obviously because of the pandemic. But when I did go to the trade show, I'd be walking the floors, sometimes just kind of lost, like not really sure where I'm supposed to be going, but knowing that I needed to get business cards. So when I went back to the office, yeah, look at all these business cards. So I don't know if you ever had that experience or not, but when you think about,
I used to go on the scavenger hunts. You know,
yes.
you've got to visit booth 12, then you got to go to 28, then you've got to go to 16, and you got to pick up something from each place. And if you do all that, then you get something you don't need and can never use. And and that was going to be a question I'd have for Hiett. There are plenty of BS stunts that people pull to try to get people to come to their booths. I've never personally found them to be particularly useful, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely correct. I took over a trade show program for Browning Ferris Industries many years ago. My predecessor loved a magician. In fact, he had a magician that he paid many thousands of dollars to come to like 4 national shows a year, and he'd do his shtick. And ostensibly, the employees of VFI were watching the audience so that the minute the shtick was over, they would pounce on the viable candidates. Of course, that never happened. And I don't have any games, and I don't have any candies, and I don't have any giveaways. I have the employees of the company. How do you use this in your operation? Where in this company is this used? What application do you have for this? Who in your company is responsible for this? When was the last time you used this? Who, what, how, why, when, where? And that's and when they qualify. When they disqualify themselves with, I don't know what you're talking about. Fine, get out of the way so I can talk to somebody that does. And when they qualify themselves, you then ask the follow-up questions, and then you know the level of their qualification because they've self-qualified themselves. They may only be an influencer. They may not be the decision maker, or they may work for a different department, but they know Sue or Frank or Harry who does have that. So when you call Sue, Frank, or Harry, hey, I talked to JACALYN, I talked to Al at the show. They told me you walk on water relative to this. So let's get down to business.
So Hiett, I could hire a magician, but all he's going to do is make my money disappear.
Oh.
Ba-da-da-bum.
So no to the gimmicks. I mean, there might be a gimmick out there that could be useful, but I mean, a lot of people just think that the solution to getting people to come to your booth is to trick them into coming to your booth, and that really, there's nothing sustainable about any of that.
Yep. I will tell you, I did 5 offshore technology conferences here in Houston. There was a booth that had a shoe shine stand, and there was a booth that had a massage therapist. I visited the shoe shine. In fact, I wore a different pair of shoes every day, and got 3 or 4 pairs of shoes shined, and I got a back rub every day. Could I tell you the name of either of those companies? And I used them for 5 years. I can't tell you who they are.
You spent half your day there, and you still don't remember who they are. That is that's so important.
Now, a question I have, let's say that a person, an organization wants to be an exhibitor at a trade show, but they get involved after the prime real estate has already been leased or contracted, and they're somewhere in the middle or the back. How do they draw someone to them if they don't have a beautiful wine and cheese display or jugglers or whatever it might be?
There's no way to, well, I say there's no, you start with the people that come by the booth and ask them the open-ended question and get, and work with what you got. I mean, if you are in a location that isn't prime and you got it at the last minute, then you play the deck you got, but by using the right technique of asking everybody the same open-ended question. And if the open-ended question that you start with doesn't work, change it. I took a Mexican boot manufacturer that I had been taking to oil and gas shows, where and he had a very beautiful work boot that was comfortable. So my open-ended question of the oil patch people as they walk by the booth is, how comfortable are your work boots? How comfortable are your work boots? And both of you have worn work boots, and you know that work boots usually are not comfortable. So how comfortable are your work boots? Well, they're not. Well, let me put you in a pair of these. Well, I then took him to a show in Las Vegas called the Magic Show, which is the largest apparel show in the world. And I asked the same question. We were in that show is so big that one hall of multiple halls was the shoe hall. And this was from toddler shoes to tuxedo shoes to stilettos to work with. So my original question was the same that I've been asking, how comfortable are your work boots? And I was getting just strange looks. I had to climb up the funnel. Who's your boot manufacturer? Who's your boot man? Because my audience were people that owned owned footwear empire, from toddler shoes to tennis shoes so I was too far down the funnel. I had to back out. Who's your boot manufacturer? Oh, we use XYZ. What percentage of his production are work boots? And only when they said, because that second question ruled out 80% of them of the people that had boots in their line, but they weren't the right boots. Now, once I got down to the ones that said, well, yeah, 20% of our boots are work boots. All right, who is your supplier of those, and how comfortable are you in those? So
what did you find out?
Well, we found out that the work that was, in retrospect, that was not the show we needed to be at, because it was too far down the line. The shoes, formal shoes, retail shoes as opposed to industrial shoes. We would have done better to go to a restaurant show, or a someplace where protective footwear and safety footwear is the norm.
Well, I can tell you one thing, if you don't have comfortable footwear when you're at a trade show, you are in a bad place.
Oh,
Because
yes.
your whole body will be crying out to you. You won't even be able to ask open-ended questions because you'll be crying.
Absolutely.
I don't understand women's shoes to begin with, but the whole idea of being in women's shoes for 16 hours. I mean, I don't think people really understand the commitment of time that a trade show represents,
Oh my gosh.
because it's not just open for a few hours, then it's closed, and you really don't have very many options for sitting down. So you're standing pretty much all day.
Yep.
And I don't know how you do that. That's
You know, that's a question that I have. As you know, I sold meetings and events for almost 18 years. And so our staff was there and they were on their feet, whether they were in the general session or they were in the hall, wherever they were. But my question is, why aren't there more places to sit at a trade show? Because I think it's basically you're supposed to drop by the booth and move on, because it's not welcoming for you to stay. There's nowhere to sit, and you've been standing for however long anyway. And the floor is usually like a concrete with some carpet over top of it. So, what is the whole philosophy of standing for the whole time, Hiett?
Well, most booths provide you with a couple of chairs and a couple of chairs and tables, and that's where most of the people that don't know how to work a trade show are, sitting behind the table
Mhm.
in a regular chair with their arms folded, or their computer or their cell phone in front of them. Now, what I do with my clients, I get those regular sit down chairs out of the booth, and I put cafe tables. I've got a cafe table, the stand up table, and I've got benches or cafe chairs behind them. So you're standing there. You may be able to lean on it, but you're 3/4 of the way up to where you can, as somebody comes in, stand up and greet them. You're not having to get up and greet them. You're simply leaning forward and greeting them, and they don't find you to be nearly as unfriendly or unappealing as they do. Somebody that's got a table in front of their booth, and they're sitting behind it doing
Hmm.
something else.
Is Hyatt, a lot of, especially after COVID, but I mean, an awful lot of people don't want to travel anymore, and they feel like they don't need to. So trade shows are focusing more and more, I think, on virtual delivery. Or is that
Well,
shifting back? What do you see happening there?
the show right now, attendance is about a third of what it used to be. I've
Hmm.
done two shows. One that in 2019 had 1,500 attendees, and this year it had 500 attendees.
Hmm.
The other one had 2 years ago had 15,000 attendees, and this year it had 5,000. Now, and they had fewer exhibitors as well. However, the delegates that came were of far higher quality. It was the
Oh.
decision makers or the influencers. It wasn't just,
Hmm.
oh, hey, the XYZ show's in town. Hey, you Department A, you can go to on Monday, and Department B, you can go on Tuesday. And Department, it's not that way.
Hmm.
So by asking the right open-ended questions, you're addressing it to more than likely the decision maker or the influencer. So you're going to get a lot further when you do today's trade shows correctly.
A lot, very worth it, definitely. I mean, that makes a huge difference. Great.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
2 years ago, oh my gosh, there's 10,000 people here, and I know
Hmm.
only 20% of the maximum are. So I got to get myself in front of 2,000 people. I've
Hmm.
got my work cut out for me. Now this year's, there's only 1,000 people there. Well, if it's 2/3, so out of 10,000, I've got maybe 3,000. Well, that means I only have to hit 300 as opposed to
Hmm.
1,000. So
Yeah.
and the fact that there are fewer people, they're going to be more focused, and that's where perhaps a pre-show mailer to the key prospects. You're selling left-handed widgets, and you know that there's 20% of the attendee base have need for left-handed widgets. They could be your own customers right now. They could be prospects. So you send them all a pre-show notice that come to our booth number X 1, 2, 3, 4. And I did it very often with a postcard. Come to our booth, and the on the postcard was a map of the show saying, here's where we are. And some of these shows are so big, that if you don't know where somebody is in advance of the show, you could spend a whole lot of time trying to find where they are. So here, selling the sizzle. Come to our booth 1, 2, 3 at the XYZ show and see the following 3 new features or benefits, or the following 3 new solutions to the problems that we know you've got.
Yeah, that's good information. A question I have to follow up to what Al said was, are trade shows implementing a virtual component for people who are interested but not able to get there?
Yes. And in fact, I worked with a couple of companies that were exhibitors at virtual shows, and basically they had an employee set up in their office or in their home with a virtual background. And when a delegate came into the booth, quote unquote, you opened up on their computer and said, okay, I want to go to USA Global TV's booth. They click on that, and they then have 2 options: literature, click and just send me some literature, or click over here and you can talk to one of our representatives. You click on that, and bam, JACALYN's there. And what I would do, I would teach JACALYN or Al to ask the open-ended question. Hi, Hiett, what brought you to our booth? Which of our products and services are you most interested in approaching? I mean, there's no hi, how are you, where are you from? It's do the same things that you're going to do at the real trade show. You've got the advantage in that they've actually walked into your booth. They called you up and they've asked to talk with you. So they've already at least quasi-qualified. Now, they may be doing it because they don't know who you are, but the fact that they've already come in, you've got a step ahead, if you will. You're not having to yell out in the aisle to get them in. They've already chosen to come in.
In a previous life, I used to go to something called the NAB, which is National Association of Broadcasters, which is a gigantic trade show.
Yep.
It happens every year in Las Vegas. It's huge. And one of the things that amazed me is that in addition to people selling things to TV networks and television stations, there was an awful lot of recruiting going on. I mean, how often do you find that people are looking for jobs at trade shows?
Oh, yeah. I teach a whole course on how to be a quote unquote delegate and sell yourself to the exhibitors who are there, who are paid a lot of money to sell themselves to the delegate. The last thing a exhibitor wants is somebody coming up saying, "Hey, I've got me. You need to talk to me about my product or service." No, I don't need to do that. Now, what I teach my clients to do is walk in and say, JACALYN, who's responsible for left-handed widgets in your company?
Oh, al.cini.
Yeah, al.cini. Is he at the show? No, he's not. Well, how do I get a hold of him? Or if he is at the show, can you introduce me to him? Well, he's right over there. Well, how about you introduce me? Now, why do I do that? Now, if I walked over to Al by myself and said, JACALYN sicked me on you,
Right.
he may or may not talk to me. If JACALYN brings me over to
It's a whole
Al
different conversation.
and JACALYN says, Al, Hiett here would like to talk to you about something. Yeah.
Good point.
She's broken the ice. Al trusts her to have given. Al trusts that she's not going to bring somebody over that is going to waste my time.
Right.
Now, what do I say to Al? Al, I know you're here to sell your stuff to people, and I fully appreciate that. I've got a product that I'd like you to think about. When can we get together? Later today, off-site, next week, next month, whatever the time frame is.
Mm-hmm.
Get your information and say thank you and turn around and walk out of the booth.
Oh.
And I would walk you over and I'd say, Al, I'm really sorry to interrupt your massage and your shoe shine, but Hiett here wants to talk to you about left-handed widgets.
No, I haven't told you. No, I haven't told you. I said, well, yeah. I said, who's responsible for your left-handed widgets? And you said it's Al. Yeah, so yeah, you're absolutely right. But I'm not going to do anything to try to sell Al on my left-handed widgets. I want to get the appointment with him.
So you offer a course. You offer a course in this. I mean, this is a training program that you put together.
Oh yeah, I've really charged. Cool. I've charged several companies, 3-figure fees to how to go to a trade show, literally selling yourself. And I've had people like that thrown out of a show. I was at a show and I don't remember what city it was. It was a major show, and my booth happened to be at the end of the aisle. And some magazine salesman was hitting every single booth, and he was coming in my direction. Show management's office was right behind me. I went into show management and said, "Come and see what's happening." He watched it, and then actually went over to the person and said, "Get off the show floor. You're violating the rules of being a delegate."
And then he said, "But I took Hiett Ives' course."
No, he didn't. That's why I was. Yeah, he had said no, and I was getting my revenge.
I think when you put people together, you pretty much have to accept that people do what people do, and you got to shut up about it. I don't understand. Commerce is commerce, and that includes not just the obvious things like selling the stuff at the booth, but all the connections and relationships that people make. And another real value, I think, of working with Hiett is that every connection I make at a trade show is an opportunity that could take me somewhere that I may not have planned before I came here. It might be a complete surprise, but it could be better than anything I would have planned for. And I need to be aware of that, and I have to be tuned into that.
Yep.
Well,
and the other thing is, when you do what I just taught you to do, and Al, I'm about to turn around and leave because I've gotten whatever. If you then say, well, hi, wait a minute, the show's a little show right now. The show is a little slow right now. The booth is well covered. Let you and I go sit down and have a cup of coffee. Now, and you accept that and you go sit down and have a cup of coffee. But now they've invited you to visit with them. You don't try to sell them. I then get further qualifications. Al, how many widgets do you use a month? Who's your current supplier? How happy are you with the quality? If shipping is shipping, now I know that delivery time for left-handed widgets is 6 weeks, and I could do it in 3. How comfortable are you with the current delivery schedule you've got? So I get all of the information that I need to where when I come back and have a follow-up meeting with you, I've got a proposal in hand addressing the 3 or 4 areas of concern that I know are concerns industry-wide and specific to you.
Right.
Because I've taken the time at the show not to try to sell myself to somebody that is paying good money to sell themselves to somebody else, but I've got something that can help you, and I need to know as much information about what your needs are so that I can then address that specifically when we get together.
Really smart.
That's what the companies that are paying me 3 and 4 figure amounts to get that kind of training. Once you know it, it's relatively easy to apply.
Right.
You know, and it gets fun to where how little can I tell them about myself? How much sizzle? How much excitement can I keep in the program? Because I don't, after we've had that cup of coffee, I don't give you a piece of my collateral. I'm going to give you my business card, but you're not going to have any collateral material. You're not going to have any, I'll have all of that stuff when we get together.
Critical.
So you've walked away with, wow, I may get a new supplier out of this, but you don't know, so it's the other side of what I do.
They keep you, you keep them wanting more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, and there's always more to be had. And, I know, before we bump up on the end of the program, you just landed a new client. You're going to be working with that client at a trade show that's coming up in a couple of weeks, I think, not too far off.
5 weeks.
5 weeks from now. So maybe you can really quickly walk us through what an engagement with you is like. What is it you do for me, and how do you help me?
From the very beginning, I could help you decide what show to go into. If he said he was in the oil and gas business, he was just signed up for the offshore technology conference. Said, if you haven't paid for it, don't go. I've got far better shows for you to go to. And then I question them, what are the products and services you are looking to exhibit? And then how I figure out with them how to effectively do that, get the backdrop, get the collateral material, so that once they've visited the booth, they can take away specific information. Then I attend the show with them and staff the booth so that they can go and use that other half that we just talked about, go talk to their competitors or go talk to other people in the hall and sell himself to them during prime show hours, which as the only exhibitor in his booth, he would not have been able to do. And then stay with him and help him put together that CRM program, that customer relations management program that says step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Something as simple at the show. After I have set up my booth, I stand in front of my booth with my camera in front of me and say, "Hi, this is Hiett. Thanks for stopping by the booth. Really enjoyed visiting with you. Get together with you real soon. Thank you." Click. Now, why do I do that? Al comes to my booth and he qualifies himself and he walks away, and then he gets a call on his phone. And he picks it up and says, "Hi, this is Hiett. Thanks for stopping by our booth. Really enjoyed visiting with you. Going to get back with you real soon."
Oh, cool.
Wow.
How cool is that?
That's really cool.
Clever.
Yeah.
Clever. And not hard.
No.
Easy.
Yeah, because you've got that in your memory, and all you have to do is
that's a way to stand out.
Or Harry or Bill or Fred, and you can do it immediately after they leave, or if it's a busy set time, half an hour later. If they get that, it doesn't matter when they get that call, whether they're walking down the aisle or a half hour later, they're not going to get that from anybody else.
That just makes so much sense.
Definitely does.
I know, that's why I use it. Sorry, you walked into that, and I had to let you.
I know. Yeah, and I'm already hip deep in it. I can't believe it. No, that was great. No, that was great. And I think, all those little tips and all that systematic knowledge you have of how you get the most out of a trade show are really your value proposition. And it isn't just at the trade show, it's the prep, selecting the right show to go to, selecting the right real estate in the show. And last time we talked, you mentioned sometimes a property in the show that may not look good on paper could actually be a great bargain in the back at a corner where you get more apparent space. Talk about that was a great tip.
Well, I actually had one customer that wanted to be by the bathrooms. Why? Because he had 2 shots at him. They had to walk by you to get there, and they had to walk by you to get back. If you didn't hit them the first time, you could hit them coming back.
Yeah, well,
how about that?
Yeah. The prostate doctor would probably want a booth by the bathroom.
It's always fun with you too.
Yeah, that's funny though. See, you wouldn't think about that, but you'd think that would be awful, but it's actually a good spot.
Well, and the two things, a 10 by 20 corner booth is perceived to be 40% larger than the same inline 10 by 10. That's why shows charge more for corner booths. They don't charge you 40% more, but if all I have to pay is 10% more than I pay for the inline booth, and be perceived as 40% larger than my competition, I strongly urge my clients to take the corner booth. And if you are big enough to afford a 10 by 20 booth as opposed to a 10 by 10, 10 by 20 booths are 4 times as rememberable.
Oh, interesting.
They are 4 times. So if and they've done surveys, and this is predominantly of exhibit hall hotel exhibits, ballroom exhibit, where there may be 100 booths, and a survey is which booths did you remember seeing during your time at the show? The 20 by 20s are 4 times as memorable, and I'm going to say, well, I remember to see this 10 by 20, this by 10 by 20, this by 2. I saw a couple of 10 by 10s, but predominantly, if the majority is 10 by 10s and you're a 10 by 20, you're going to be more remembered.
And you'll stand out more. Good to know.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Lots of great gems that you dropped today, Hiett.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. I'm going to spotlight you and put your banner up. What's the best way for people to contact you, and who should contact you?
The who are people that have done trade shows and want to do trade shows and want to take a local show regionally or nationally or internationally. I've done it on all levels. An ideal client is somebody that has multiple shows and in multiple markets, and what you show in market A may be different from what you show in market B. And obviously the people that want all of their collateral material, their website and so on, coordinated with that, I can do that. They can also reach me at my cell phone, which is 832-372-6900. That's 832-372-6900, or they can find me on LinkedIn.
All right. Thank you so much, Hiett. I'm just typing up the phone number to share. All right. It was great seeing you, and we look forward to seeing you again on this show or another one of our shows.
Absolutely. Great. Always great talking to you, Hiett. You got so much to offer, and anybody thinking about a trade show ought to think twice before going without Hiett.
Oh.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you, Al. Much appreciated. Doctor, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Congratulations again on your latest business acquisition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, that was very informative, wasn't it?
It was. And, you'd think, there is all those trade shows I've been to. Nobody ever sits you down and preps you for any of them. All you do is you buy the space. You think because you've been to trade shows before that you know what you're supposed to put out there. You think because you've seen people do it that you want to do what they do. You got to talk to Hiett. You need help. If you don't have somebody helping you do it, you're not going to get as much out of it as if you just wander into it as a novice.
Exactly. It's like anything in life. You have to have a plan, and you have to have a mentor, a guide, a coach, or somebody to walk you through. Because again, let's say that you don't have the best space, right? Because you didn't get involved early on. How are you going to attract people, and what are you going to be discussing with them once they're passing by you? Maybe they're on the way to the bathroom and they happen to see you. Hiett knows all the ins and outs of the shows.
He does.
And he's the guy to call.
Great. Terrific.
Yeah.
Great interview.
Very good. Mr. Cini, I'm going to spotlight you. And again, if you can share for people who are just joining us now about your endeavors and who you would like to reach out to you.
Good. If you're an organization thinking about holding a team building event, reach out to me. We have an interesting way of building a team around their purpose. I'm easy to reach at al.cini@getbcat.com, al.cini@getbcat.com. Also, I hope you'll join us for The Advocates, which starts on rvntelevision.com beginning March 9th. On Wednesdays at 10 a.m. And I'm looking forward to interviewing some of the movers and shakers in the world of service, helping people, people advocating a cause. And it'll be fun to have you along for the ride. So thank you, Dr. JACALYN, for the chance to mention that. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cini. I think this is our 81st show,
Wow.
which is amazing. And I'm just so grateful
Totally
that every week we get to do this. So thank you again for being here. And I wish you a very wonderful week. And we'll be seeing you again soon on one of our elevated listening courses.
I've got a Talking Heads coming up, I think. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, I'm excited about that too.
When,
are you going to start that next month?
Yeah, I am. I think I know in my head what it is I want to talk about. I'm excited about it. I like the format too. I'm really looking forward to that. So that'll be coming up. And of course, every Wednesday with you. That's
absolutely. And so for folks who are just joining, Mr. Cini will be doing his first Talking Heads, and I believe it's right after this.
It is. It comes on. It'll be right after this. I think it's March.
Second week. Yeah, second week in March. March next week, by the way.
I know it's hard to believe. I'm there. I'll be there. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Look forward to seeing you then as well. Take care.
Thank you, Doctor. You take care now.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. As I mentioned, next week, right after this show, al.cini will be doing his Talking Heads, and that starts in 2 weeks. We have 2 more programs coming up today. They are also Talking Heads, featuring Jean Keegan-Daly, followed by Mariska Duprier. And my announcements are, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, that I have started the Elevated Listening community that's open to everyone. And you just have to go over to my website, which is drjacalyn.com/join. Another announcement I'd like to make is we have several new shows coming up. One that I'm going to spotlight right now is we have a show that is in honor of all of the warriors and the survivors of IBD, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. And I will be working with Justin Morigliani, and we will be interviewing physicians, caretakers, caregivers, I should say, patients, and advocates from the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. So if you would like to be on our show, you'll be able to find information about that on our website, which is USA Global TV. And you can see behind me the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. I'm on the board. I also run a support group, which we just had our meeting last night. And I also have a team for Take Steps, the walk that is taking place June 24th at Lincoln Financial Field, and also the Spin for Cures and the Evening of Hope Gala. So do join us for our show coming up in March. We will be broadcasting twice a month for our new show, which is called Take Steps and Kick IBD. So that's all I have for now. I'm glad that you were here today. Just going to switch back to my background, and hopefully you'll join us on our Talking Head shows coming up. We'd love for everybody to watch our programs over on our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV, or you can watch on our website, which is also usaglobaltv.com. Thank you again for being here. I look forward to seeing you at 4:30 Eastern time for our Talking Heads show. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Hiett. Great seeing you. Bye.